Hi everybody, this is Bonnie with Bonnie Bay Crochet. Today I want to show you how to make my first cable crocheted wrap. And this is made using a locally accessible yarn that I'll show you in just a minute. But one thing I love about this is it can be worn a number of different ways, and I'll show you some pictures right here. This can be worn as just a regular wrap to keep you nice and warm in the wintertime, or just when there's a chill in the air. It can also be worn as kind of a tri-fold poncho, and by connecting implements to secure it, it can stay in place very well. You can also secure it in such a way as to make it an asymmetrical poncho. Lots and lots of things that you can do with this. All right, now why am I calling it my first cable crochet wrap? Well, I have painstakingly limited myself to some of the easier cabling or texturized stitches. And in this particular video, I'm going to show you how to crochet my elongated cable. You're going to be doing it the same way over and over again. There's not a lot of mixing and matching and going back and forth. It's just doing it the same way over and over again. And that kind of repetition will help it to become part of your muscle memory and just your memory in general. Also, I go very slow in the video. I'm also showing you that it features the wattle stitch, which you'll find to be very easy, and basket weave stitch. Even if you've never worked front and back post double crochets, I think you'll do well with this, especially if you're a confident beginner and above. It also features, let me show you, ribbing, which is where we start, which is basically front and back post double crochets worked in a row. So if you're looking to take your skills just the next step up, I believe this could be a way where you could do this, and it produces a garment that just about anybody can wear or benefit from. Well, let me show you what you're going to need. For this project, I'm going to be using I Love This yarn. This is available from your local Hobby Lobby, either in store or online. Each of these skeins of yarn is 7 ounces or 199 grams. It's the equivalent of 355 yards or 325 meters. And the color I'm going to be using is Ivory. And look across the bottom of the screen and I'll tell you just how many you're going to need, and be sure you have enough and maybe a little bit extra just to make sure that you have enough to complete the project in the same dye lot. Do make sure that you check the dye lots on the skeins of yarn so that you will have enough in the exact same number. Even if the number is just a little bit off, it can make a big difference in the color. I'm also recommending that you have a size I or 9 or 5.50 millimeter crochet hook, and I also recommend you have a pair of sharp scissors and a yarn needle handy. To begin, we're going to start with a slip knot and the starting chain of 82 chains. After chaining 82 chains, let's go ahead and start row 1. We're going to start by working a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm just going to work along the side of the chain. If you want to work in the back bump of the chain, you can do that. So let's go ahead and just work double crochets in each stitch all the way across. So you should have 79 double crochets once you finish this row, and that's not including the chain 3 at the beginning. So this is what you should have after completing row 1. You should have a total of 79 double crochets, and that is not including the chain 3 at the beginning of the row. All right, for row 2, we're going to begin ribbing. We're going to chain 2, and I'm going to take this on the slower side in case you are actually new to these stitches, because I do encourage people who've not attempted cables to give this particular design a try. Okay, after that chain 2, we're going to skip this stitch, and you'll see why. We're going to work a front post double crochet, and the only difference between that and a regular crochet is instead of working into the top loops, we're just going to give this stitch a belt. The hook goes around the stitch like this. Pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's a front post double crochet. Back post double crochet, very similar, except we come in the back door. Hook goes around the front of the stitch, and then out the back door again. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. It's as simple as that. Now do make sure that you're not going in way high like this on the stitch. You don't want to give it a hat, you want to give it a belt down here. Okay, so we're going to alternate these 2 stitches all the way across the row. Front post, double crochet, and then a back post coming in the back, going around out the back door. So it ties in the back. That's another way to look at it. The stitch completes or ties in the front, and then the stitch completes or ties in the back, and you get this really nice ribbed. In fact, the more rows that we work, I think the nicer it looks, and we are going to work several rows just like this. So go ahead and work this all the way across the row. So I've worked this all the way across. At the end of the row, we have that turning chain. We're going to work a half double crochet just like that in that turning chain, and again your stitch count should still remain the same at 79 stitches because we skipped the first stitch at the beginning of the row, but then we added in an extra stitch in the turning chain, so that kind of cancels that out, so we maintain our stitch count. Now for rows 3 through 7, that's 5 additional rows. We're going to work them the same as row number 2, but I'll go ahead and start row 3 with you just so that you see how this looks. We are still going to skip that first stitch. We're going to work a front post double crochet, but you see those stitches protruding there, so you know we're going to put a front post there. Now the stitches on the back side are the raised stitches, so we put a back post there. So again, we're just alternating front post double crochets and back post double crochet. So go ahead and finish row 3. Let me just one more thing, review with you. At the end of each of these rows, you're also going to work a half double crochet worked into that chain 2 turning chain. So go ahead and finish row 3 and then work rows 4, 5, 6, and 7 in the exact same manner. This is what you should have after completing 7 rows. And at this point, it's reversible. But once we start working the next row, it's only going to be the even rows, even numbered rows. That will be the front side facing. Okay, so starting with row number 8, this is a very, very important row. We're going to be laying the foundation of what we're going to do for the rest of this project, except for the ribbing at the end. And I'm going to go as slowly as I can, and hopefully this will be very helpful to you. Okay, we're going to chain 2 at the beginning. And starting in that very first stitch, we're going to work a wattle stitch. That's W-A-T-T-L-E. And you work those by making a single crochet, a chain 1, and a double crochet worked into the same space. All right, so at the beginning of this project, we're going to have 2 wattle stitches, and it's going to be 2 wattle stitches on this end and on the other end. And the beautiful thing about these particular stitches is they kind of recede to the background and help the other stitches show better, and they're also very easy to work. So for the foundation row, we're going to work our wattle stitch, skip the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to make another wattle stitch like this. Single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all worked into the same space like that. Then we skip 2 stitches, and that's so that double crochet can fill in that space for us. So we skip these two. Now the next 3 stitches are going to be front post double crochets. This will be the foundation for our cable stitch. Now this particular cable stitch is one that I came up with several years ago, and it's unique to my design. So if you look for it in others' designs, you probably will find something a little different. So you want to just pay attention to whatever design you're working on. So 3 front post double crochets, and we're going to work a half double in the next stitch, working into the top loops, and then we're going to work 3 more front post. Even if it's a back post, we're working 3 front post double crochets. Okay, so I'm going to stop, and that's a 7 stitch grouping. 3 front post double crochets, a half double, 3 front post double crochets, and this is a foundation for one of the cables. Now we're going to have 2 cables or tandem cables, and then we're going to have a central design, and then which will be the basket weave, and then 2 more cables. All right, so after that we're going to work 1 wattle stitch. So in that next stitch, again working in the top loops, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2. Okay, and then in the next stitch we're going to start another foundation for a cable. 3 front post double crochets. Okay, half double works into the top loops of that next stitch, and then 3 more front post double crochets. Just like that. So after completing that second foundation for that second cable, we're going to work 2 wattle stitches. So in that next stitch, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet for that wattle stitch, skip 2 stitches and do it one more time. Single crochet, chain 1, and a wattle stitch. After that wattle stitch, don't forget we're skipping 2 stitches. And now for the center motif, which is the basket weave, we're going to work 4 front post double crochets, just like that, and then we're going to work 4 back post double crochets, okay, then we're going to do that again. 4 front post double crochets, and then 4 back post double crochets. Okay, so that should be 16 stitches so far, and then we're going to do just 1 set more of just 4 front post double crochets. Okay, so we're going to pause and check. So we have 4 front post, 4 back post, 4 front post, 4 back post, and 4 front post, and that will be the end of that center section. So let's finish off. Oh, let me go ahead and let's take a further look here. It's kind of hard to see it right now, but we have 2 wattle stitches, a foundation for a cable, 1 wattle stitch, a foundation for a cable, 2 wattle stitches. Then we have 5 groupings of 4 front post, 4 back post, 4 front post, 4 back post, 4 front post. And so what we're going to do to make this symmetrical, on the other side we're going to do the 2 wattle stitches, a cable foundation, 1 wattle stitch, cable foundation, and 2 wattle stitches. I'm just wanting to show you where we're headed with this. So we're going to go ahead and do that on this side. 2 wattle stitches. It's the first of them. Skip 2 stitches and then do another wattle stitch. Again, single crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. After that, it's time for us to make the foundation for the next cable. So we're going to skip these 2 stitches for that wattle stitch, and then we're going to work 3 front post double crochets, a half double into the top loops of that next stitch, and 3 more front post double crochets. Okay, now we're going to do 1 wattle stitch, skip 2, and then another foundation, 3 front post double crochets, a half double in that next stitch, and then 3 more front post double crochets. Okay, so that should leave you 7 stitches left. So what we're going to do is we're going to work a wattle stitch in that next stitch, skip the next 2 stitches, a wattle stitch in that next stitch. So for the end of this row, we're going to skip the next 3 stitches, actually next 2 stitches, that third, because we're going to work the last stitch into the turning chain, just like that. And so we have finished our foundation row. I'll review this with you real quickly one more time. 2 wattle stitches, 1, 2, the cable foundation, 1 wattle stitch, a cable foundation, 2 wattle stitches, and then the center is 20 basket weave stitches, 4 front post, 4 back post, 4 front post, 4 back post, 4 front post, then wattle stitch, foundation for a cable, 1 wattle stitch, foundation for a cable, 2 wattle stitches, and a single crochet in that turning chain. So now we're ready to go on to row number 9. So with row 9, we're going to turn, chain 2, skip that first stitch, and we're going to skip the double crochets whenever we work, and the single crochets too, whenever we work in the wattle stitches, because we're only going to work in the chain 1 space. Okay, so again, chain 2 and skip right to that first chain 1 space in that wattle stitch, and we work a wattle stitch there, single crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. I skip to the next chain 1 space, and we work a wattle stitch, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet. All right, coming upon the cables, we're just building the cable foundations at this point. So we're going to work 3 back post double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3. Half double is always worked into the top loops of the half double, just the way you normally would do stitches, and then 3 more back post double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. Wattle stitch in that wattle stitch, Okay, only working in the chain 1 space. And then we get to the next foundation for the cable, and it's 3 more back post double crochets. And then half double in that next half double, and then 3 more back post double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. After that, we have 2 wattle stitches that will be on either side of the central basket weave motif. So we work wattle stitch in that next chain 1 space, and in the next one you can really see this and you can feel this, and I encourage you as you work these post stitches. I say this a lot in my other videos, but the nerve endings in your fingers, especially in the tall man finger and in your thumb, are going to be indispensable. They will help you so much with knowing where that chain 1 space is. It's actually much larger than a chain 1 space with that wattle stitch, but we're always just going to work wattle stitches just like that. Now this is with the back side of the basket weave. We will work 4 back post double crochets. This is one of those rows where we just maintain what has already been established in that foundation row, and we follow that with 4 front post double crochets. It's a good idea to know where you are in this row as you go across, so that you're not adding half doubles unnecessarily per se. Then we follow this again with 4 more back post double crochets, and then 4 more front post double crochets. If you just look to see where you are, you'll know kind of what to do. And then 4 more back post double crochets, okay, and then something changes, and then we get to the wattle stitches, and if you want to pause and look at that section. All right, and the wattle stitches, again, we're just working in that chain 1 space that was created by the last row's wattle stitch, and there are 2 of them. And then now for the back sides of the cable foundations, 3 back post double crochets, not 4 but 3, half double in the half double, and 3 more back post double crochets. And then 1 wattle stitch, again worked into that chain 1 space, and then another cable foundation, so that's 3 more back post double crochets, half double worked into the half double, and then 3 more back post double crochets. Okay, and then working in those wattle stitches, we work another wattle stitch. Okay, and then in the next one, and then at the end of this row we have that chain 2 space that we worked at the beginning of the last row, and we work a single crochet into that chain 2 space. Okay, so this is the back side of what we've just done, And when we flip to look at the front side, I think it'll be more distinguishable. You can see the columns. We can see the basket weave, although the basket weave is not as pronounced yet, but it will be once we start working more rows. And then the 2 cables. Okay, so now this is row number 10, and we are actually going to cross the cables in row 10. So let's go ahead and start that. So for round 10, we're going to chain 2, and again in that chain 1 space, we work these 2 wattle stitches. That's now and throughout this entire project. But I will show these to you, but just to let you know, so you'll get the feel of this and the rhythm of it to the point where you really will not need further instruction. So now to cross these cables, again, this is a unique system I've developed, so it may look a little different than other cables you may have worked. We're going to skip the first 3 stitches here, and then working only in the top, that half double, we're going to work a half double crochet. Now we're going to work front post treble crochets. Wrap your hook twice. We're going to work a front post treble in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, doesn't look like much yet. Now we're going to work in front of all 4 stitches, so getting ready for more trebles. We're going to work front post trebles here, here, and then here. Okay, so we come all the way over. It feels like you're reaching across the room. It feels like a large distance, but it's not so bad once you get used to it. So we work that front post front post treble crochet there. Another front post treble. And the 3rd front post treble, and I'm going to go ahead and work the next wattle stitch, and then we'll look at what we've done. So we go right to that wattle stitch after we cross that. So this is what it looks like. It still doesn't look like much, I admit, but this is what we're doing. That's how we cross the cables. Not so complicated. One thing I just wanted to reiterate is that when we cross the cables, we use front post trebles, and that's the only time we're going to use treble anything in this project. Front post trebles only when we cross these elongated cables. Okay, and let's go ahead and do this again. Skip the next 3 stitches, half double into that next stitch, front post treble in the next 3 stitches. Make sure we pull through all of the strands. Working in front of those last 4 stitches, we're going to come all the way over here and front post treble in the stitches that we skipped, working them from right to left. And I'm assuming working the left hand version, it would be the opposite of that, from left to right. Hopefully I'm right with that. I've been trying to visualize it in my head. Sometimes that's confusing. But anyway, so always from right to left. Then we work our wattle stitches. Okay, let's just pause a minute. And make sure you have 2 of those that are crossed. Otherwise, it's really hard to go back and fix it without taking out an awful lot of stitches. Okay, so now we come to the basket weave, and we're just going to continue the basket weave. And just a little hint on what we're doing here. We're going to do 4 rows the same, and then that's after those 4 rows is where we will switch back. And I'll show that to you when we get to that point. We have 2 more rows to finish before then. But just go ahead and work 4 front post double crochets, just like we've been doing on this section, and then 4 back post double crochets. And let me just give you some verbal instructions so that I'm not boring everybody to tears. 4 front post, 4 back post, 4 front post, and then I'll work the 2 wattle stitches with you. So now we come to those 2 wattle stitches again. Again, worked only in the chain 1 spaces. Single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and now we come to the 2 cables again. Skip the next 3 stitches, half double in that next stitch, front post treble in the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3, working in front of those last 4 stitches. We come back over here and work 3 more front post trebles, 1, 2, and 3. And a wattle stitch. You should be good at these at this point. Single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then we're going to cross another cable. Skip 3 stitches, half double, and that half double, front post treble in the next 3 stitches, working in front of those last 4 stitches, front post treble in the 3 skipped stitches. And then to end the row, we go right to the wattle stitches. We have 2 of those. 1, and find the next chain 1 space, and that's the second one, 2. Let's go ahead and pull it through, and then a single crochet in the chain 2 space. Let's go ahead and take a look. Make sure these 2 are crossed, and then you see the basket weave and the 2 cross cables again, and again wattle stitches in between. Now for row 11, we are going to turn to have the back side facing us, and again chain 2. We're going to work those 2 wattle stitches, again only in the chain 1 space. We're not working in any other stitches in those wattle stitches. All right, now there is one thing that's special when you work on the back side after a cable crossing, and I'm going to try to go very slowly on this. So the first thing we're going to do is work 3 back post double crochets, and these are going to be the ones that have crossed on top. You're going to feel those with your non-dominant hand, the hand that's holding the yarn. They've crossed on top on the back side. Can't emphasize that enough. We're actually doing the stitches in the order that they appear. Now there's no half double crochet, so what we're going to do is we're going to add 1 in right in the center where those 2 columns cross to make a cable. Now in case you're a mathematician and you're worried that I've added an extra stitch, I have not, because we are going to skip this half double in just a second or 2. After this, we work 3 more back post double crochets. It's 1, 2, and the 3rd. And again, that half double that we worked going the other direction, we are skipping it entirely because we've made up for it with the other stitch. Okay, you don't have to understand that. If you don't understand that, it's okay. But I know there's going to be somebody that's going to point that out. They usually do. And I'd like to be clear so that there's no confusion. All right, another wattle stitch in the chain 1 space. And then we're going to do it again. I'm going to flip this up so that you can see these stitches that appear on top. And they're also, if you're not sure, you can look at the V's on top of the stitches to know that that is correct in the next grouping of stitches to work. So 3 back post double crochets, and again you can stick your finger in between those where those 2 columns cross. That's where you want that half double, right in between that last stitch and the next stitch. And then 3 more back post double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Again, skipping this next half double, and then we're back to our wattle stitches. And we're going to count these rows. I'm going to count these rows with you on the basket weave. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3. So this is the 4th row. We're going to just continue to maintain what we see. 4 back post double crochets, followed by 4 front post double crochets, and we're just going to do that across. I'll go ahead and fill this in. 4 back post, 4 front post, 4 back posts, and I'm going to do the 2 wattle stitches as well off camera. Just to show you, I have finished the basket weave section, the 2 wattle stitches, and then we are working behind the crossed cables again, and I'm going to work this with you again because I know this can be confusing. So working behind the last 2 cables, 3 back post double crochets. Again, this is the column that crossed on top on the other when the front side is facing, and then in between that last stitch and next stitch, which is where the 2 cables or 2 columns cross to form a cable, we work a half double, and then 3 more back post double crochets. After those last 3 back post double crochets on that cable, work a wattle stitch. After that wattle stitch, then we have 3 more back post double crochets. Again, these are the ones that crossed on top. Half double in between that last stitch and next stitch, and then 3 more back post double crochets. 1, 2, and 3, and then the 2 wattle stitches, again worked into those chain 1 spaces, and a single crochet worked into the turning chain. Again, the back side with these cables doesn't look like much, but when we turn to look at the front side, they are starting to look like something. So this is the front side, because we will need to turn at the end of every round, or I'm sorry, at the end of every row. I oftentimes get my rows and rounds mixed up, but it hasn't been too much of a problem. All right, so now for the next row, okay, this would be row 12. I'll go ahead and start you with the chain 2. We're going to work those 2 wattle stitches. Notice that I am kind of naturally speeding up just a little bit, assuming that there's some understanding there. If for any reason you are already lost because I'm way too fast, you do have an ability to slow this down on both my watch channel and on my YouTube channels. You can look at the bottom. It can either be at the bottom or the top, depending on your device. If you stop the video, you'll see a little gear-shaped icon. If you click on that, it'll bring up a playback speed, and you can choose either faster, if you want a challenge and are bored, or you can turn it to a slower speed, and you can watch me much slower. And maybe even use that as an ASMR to go to sleep at night if you're having trouble sleeping. I have been known to cure insomnia with these videos. Okay, little joke there, a crochet humor. All right, Okay, now that we get to the cables, we're just going to work front post double crochet. So 3 front post double crochets, half double in the half double, and then 3 front post double crochets. Okay, so you can see the cable growing a bit. A wattle stitch in that wattle stitch, and again coming to the next cable, 3 front post double crochets, half double in the half double, and 3 more front post double crochets. Okay, now we have 2 more wattle stitches. I'm not even going to go into too much detail on those because you should know how to do these by now, or else this project could be too difficult. All right, now for this row, this is row 12, we are going to reverse the weave on the basket weave. Now again, this is after every 4 rows, and you can count 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm using the nerve endings in my tall man and my thumbkin to determine this. So what we're going to do to reverse this, if you see front post double crochets like you do here, you're going to work 4 back post double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And this is what makes the basket weave magical. It's just this row here. We see 4 back post double crochets. Well, we're going to change that to 4 front post double crochets. So we're just reversing what we see entirely. And you're going to do this every 4 rows with the basket weave. And you were only going to reverse it with the front side facing. So that's kind of easy to remember since we're using an even multiple. All right, so now we're going to do 4 more back post double crochets. And after those 4 back post double crochets, we go back to 4 front post double crochets. And finally 4 back post double crochets. So let's just pause a minute and just look at the basket weave. So you can see where we went from front post to back post, and from back post to front post. 4 back post, 4 front post, 4 back post. So that's what it looks like when you reverse it. Reverse the direction of, whether, from front to back or back to front. All right, so after that, we're just going to work the 2 wattle stitches. And I'm going to just give you instructions on the rest of this. We're going to work 3 front post, a half double, 3 front post, these are double crochets, a wattle stitch, 3 front post double crochets, a half double, 3 front post double crochets, 2 wattle stitches, and a single crochet in the turning chain. So go ahead and finish out that row. So let's take a look at what you should have after completing 12 rows and you see these cables growing. Okay. All right, so now we are on to row 13. And I'm going to go ahead and start you on this with a chain 2. we will work those 2 wattle stitches at the beginning. And then I'm going to talk you through some of this. I will demonstrate the first cable. We're just going to work back post double crochet. So we're going to work 3 back post double crochets, a half double worked into that half double, and we're going to follow that with 3 more back post double crochets. All right, and we have a wattle stitch, and then we work over, I'll just go ahead and work it with you, 3 back post double crochets, a half double worked into the top loops of that half double, and then 3 more back post double crochets. All right, and now we have the 2 wattle stitches. So this should be falling into a rhythm for you at this point, because instead of having to think about what to do, you just work on what you see. When you see those wattle stitches, you work wattle stitches. It's really as simple as that. It's just a matter of knowing when to change direction. Okay, so now we come to the basket weave. You're just going to follow along with what you see, because remember, we have to have 4 rows before we change it. So we're going to do 4 front post double crochets, followed by 4 back post double crochets. Let me try that one again. It got away from me. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to just pause a second so you see how you're just building on this. So we're just going to continue this across again. 4 front post double crochets, 4 back post, 4 front post double crochets, a wattle stitch, and then you have the 2 cables again. 3 back post double crochets, a half double, 3 back post, a wattle stitch, 3 back post, half double, 3 back post, wattle stitch, and a single crochet in the turning chain. So go ahead and finish row 13. This is what you should have after completing 13 rows. Now for rows 14 and 15, I'm going to give you a small assignment. For those 2 rows, you're going to repeat rows 12 and 13. Those are the last 2 rows we just worked, and you're going to repeat them the same way, working front post double crochets over the cables, and don't forget those half doubles and the wattle stitches as usual. And when you get to the basket weave, you're just going to continue with starting with 4 back post and then 4 front post, back post, front post, etc. So all the way across, and then again for the row that follows, it'll be the same as row 13. All right, and that would be with the back post double crochets over the cables, and then you would have front post, then back post, front post, back post, etc. So go ahead and work those 2 rows, and if you need to follow along with me again, look at the bottom of the screen. I will put a time mark there where you can go back and re-watch rows 12 and 13. This is what you should have after completing 15 rows. Now let's talk about a couple things here. It is going to be time for us to cross these cables again, and we're going to use the same way of crossing them that we did down here on row number 10, I believe that was. So this is going to be row 16. I'm going to work this with you, And I also wanted you to take another note. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows completed on the basket weave. It's going to be time to reverse the weave on this as well. So let's go ahead and get started with the chain 2. And we're going to work those 2 wattle stitches. Again, worked only in that chain 1 space. Should be very clear at this point. Now we're going to cross the cables again. I'll take this slow, again, just because I know you might need a refresher. Skip the first 3 stitches. We're going to work a half double crochet in that top of that half double. We're going to work front post treble crochets. That's where you wrap the hook twice. And again, it's just a regular post stitch, but with a treble. And again, we only use the trebles when we cross the cables. I probably said that way too many times already. After we do those, we're going to work in front of these 4 stitches. That's the half double and those 3 posts. We're going to come right over here and work a front post treble in those 3 stitches that we skipped. All right. And that is done. And now it actually kind of looks like a cable. And we go for that wattle stitch. And then we're going to take a look at this. All right. So you can see this is the elongated cable. It took 16 rows to get to there. Well, actually less than that, but we are on row 16 to finally see this cable crossed. Skip the next 3 stitches. Half double in the top of that half double, front post treble in the next 3 stitches, working in front of those last 4 stitches. We're going to front post treble here, here, and here. Come all the way over to that section. There we go. That's 1. 2, and 1 more. And 3. And let's go ahead and work the wattle stitches. And then we're going to take another look at this. All right, and now you have your tandem cables. All right, so now let's take a look at the basket weave. Like I said before, it's time to change the weave. You can kind of tell by looking at it, but I would always count the cables, or count the rows, so you can feel this row 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. Now it's time to reverse the weave, so we change this back to front post. And these we're gonna, they're facing on the front side, so we're gonna work back post double crochets. This is just one of my more favorite stitches, honestly. It's simple enough to work, and it just looks so complicated. I know people who've never worked this before and then work it in some of my workshops that I host sometimes in various places. They're just amazed at how this stitch looks so beautiful and so complicated, but honestly, it's not. Once you understand, I guess, once you understand the secret, it's not complicated at all, and it is so beautiful. So we're changing these front post into back post, and let's see, the next set is back post into front post. And I'm going to work at least one more cable with you here just to be sure you understand. I may go a little bit quicker on some of these other rows, just trying to find a balance between teaching and boredom. I don't want to bore you too much. Okay, so skip 3 stitches, half double into that next stitch, and then front post treble in the next 3 stitches. Okay, working in front of those last 4 stitches, that's the 3 post stitches and that half double. We come all the way back here and we're going to front post treble here, here, and here. These are trebles. I may have said double at one point, but these are front post trebles when crossing the cables. And that's, again, the only time you're going to use treble, front post trebles in this particular design. And I'm going to go ahead and work that wattle stitch. And let's pause again to look at that cable. So I'm going to just have you finish out by crossing this cable and the 2 wattle stitches and a single crochet in that turning chain right there. All right, so go ahead and finish row 16. Now for row 17, I've already worked the chain 2 in those first 2 wattle stitches. I just want to do a quick refresher on working on these cables. So you're going to work 3 back post double crochets. Again, these are the ones that were crossed on top, and they will also be the first stitches that come closest to your hook. In between that last stitch and next stitch where those 2 columns cross, work a half double crochet right in the center, and then 3 more back post double crochets. All right, we're going to skip that half double, and sometimes people don't even see that half double, but we're not going to work in that, and we're going to go right for the wattle stitch right there. And I'm going to do this with you again. Back post double crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then when you get to the next, right where those columns crossed, work a half double crochet in between that last stitch and the next stitch, which is the center of that cable, and then 3 more back post double crochets. All right, and then we have 2 wattle stitches, 1 and 2, so after that wattle stitch we do the basket weave, just what we see. We have 4 back post double crochets, because remember we switched the direction on the last row, and we have 4 front post double crochets. And so I'm just going to pause here. You can see that growing, and you see how this is looking pretty cool. And I'll just explain the rest of this. We're going to do 4 back post double crochets, 4 front post, 4 back post, wattle stitch, and then we're going to work those cables again just like we did on the other side. 3 back post double crochets, a half double, don't forget that in the center, and 3 back post. And again, skipping, even though I don't say this every time, skip this half double, wattle stitch, again 3 back post, half double in between, 3 more back posts, skip that half double, wattle stitch, and a single crochet in the turning chain. So go ahead and finish row 17. So this is what you should have after completing 17 rows. Let you look at both sides there. So now for row 18, I'm going to give you an assignment. We're going to chain 2. We have 2 wattle stitches, just like always. 3 front posts, double crochets, a half double, 3 front post double crochets, a wattle stitch, 3 front post double crochets, a half double, 3 front post double crochets, 2 wattle stitches, and then you just continue what you see for the basket weave. 4 front post double crochets, 4 back post, 4 front post, 4 back post, 4 front post, and again wattle stitch, 3 front post over the cable, half double, 3 front post, wattle stitch, 3 front post, half double, 3 front post, wattle stitch, and a single crochet in the turning chain. For row 19, it's going to be similar, except we have the back side facing. I'm going to skip saying the wattle stitches because they come in place all throughout, and you know how to do that. We're just going to work back post double crochets. Don't forget that half double. But back post over all of the cables. And when it gets to the basket weave, we're going to have 4 back post, 4 front posts, 4 back posts, 4 front posts, 4 back posts, etc. Again, the wattle stitches where the wattle stitches are, and again, back post double crochets over these cables. Don't forget about those half doubles. Wattle stitch, and there will be a chain 2 here. You'll work a single crochet there. So go ahead and work the next 2 rows. This is what you should have after completing 19 rows. Let's take a look at that side to side. All right, so now for row 20, I'm going to go ahead and work a chain 2, wattle stitch. I'm going to work front post double crochets, half double, 3 front post doubles, wattle stitch, etc. over these 2 cables and the 2 wattle stitches, and then I will meet you at the basket weave and do a little demonstration with you there. So this is what you should have starting row 20. I've come to the basket weave, and again we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows from the previous rows here, so it's time to reverse it. So we have front post, so now we're going to work 4 back post double crochets over those to change the direction again. All right, and for the next 4 stitches we have back post facing us, so we're going to change that to front post double crochets. Okay, I just wanted to be sure to do a little bit of a demonstration that it's time to change the weave. So going for the rest of row 20, there should be 4 back post, then you're going to work 4 front post and 4 back post, wattle stitch, and again 3 front post doubles, half double, 3 front post doubles here, a wattle stitch, 3 front post doubles, a half double, 3 front post doubles, 2 wattle stitches, and a single crochet in the turning chain. So go ahead and finish row 20. Now for row 21, I'm going to just explain what to do here. We're going to chain 2, wattle stitch, and we're going to work back post double crochets over the cables, and don't forget those half doubles in between and the wattle stitches, etc. When you get to the basket weave, you're going to work front post double crochets, back post, front post, back post, front post, those wattle stitches, and again 3 back post double crochets, half double, 3 back posts, etc. as you work over each of these 2 cables, ending with the 2 wattle stitches and a single crochet in the chain 2 space. So go ahead and work row 21. This is what you should have after 21 rows. Now for row 22, I'll work this with you just a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and work, I'll go ahead and work these wattle stitches. First chain 2, and I wanted to cross these cables with you just one time more to give you a refresher. All right, so now we get to the point where we're going to cross the cables again. We're going to skip the first 3 stitches, half double, and that half double, treble crochet, or treble front post treble rather in those next 3 stitches. Let's get that off of there. Working in front of those last 4 stitches, we're going to front post treble in those 3 stitches that I just skipped. And that's the 3rd one. Okay, and then I'm going to work that wattle stitch, and I'm just going to leave it there as a refresher for you. This again, row 22. So we're going to cross this cable, we're going to cross the next cable, wattle stitch, wattle stitch. You continue on with back post double crochets, and then front post, back post, front post, back post. Just continue it. Wattle stitch, wattle stitch. Make sure you cross this cable, wattle stitch, cross this cable, 2 wattle stitches and a single crochet in that turning chain. So go ahead and finish row 22. So this is what you should have after completing 22 rows. Okay. Now for row 23, I've gone ahead and started with the chain 2 and those first 2 wattle stitches. I just want to do a quick review of working this row. When you work behind the row after the cable crossings, we're going to work 3 back post double crochets. Again, these are the ones that are on top, the ones that were crossed on top. Okay, there we go. Well, let's try that one again. That was not cooperating. There we go. After those 3 back post doubles, we work a half double in between that last stitch and the next stitch, which again is the center of where those 2 columns were crossed, and then 3 more back post double crochets. Okay, again, skip that half double, and then we work the wattle stitch. And then, of course, we work behind the next cable, just like I showed you there. Wattle stitch, and again, 4 front post doubles, 4 back post doubles, 4 front post doubles, 4 back post, 4 front post doubles, and this is going to be the 4th row of doing that. And then again, wattle stitch, back post double crochets. Don't forget the half double, and then 4 more back post doubles. Skip this half double, wattle stitch, and do this one the same, etc. Wattle stitch, and then a single crochet in that turning chain. So go ahead and finish row 23. So now we're going to have you just continue in pattern stitch, continuing with the wattle stitches where they are, and with this elongated cable. After you've crossed the cable, then you work the row behind that, and then you have 2 more rows, which are actually 4 more rows, which are just working front post and back post double crochets, and then we cross the cables again. Look across the bottom of the screen, and I will show you where the next row that follows row 23, which would be right here. Now this is going to be a little different. When you get to the basket weave, you're going to need to count 4 rows and then know to reverse them. If you want specific directions row by row for this entire project, I would highly recommend that you invest in the written pattern, which I will have written out for you line by line. I could do that with the video, but the video would be very long and tedious. And I think by this point, you know the approximate time when to turn. Okay, this from the crossing of the cables, you have 1, then the row that works after that, and then you have 4 more rows. So this is actually a 6-row repeat. Okay, all these elongated cables are a 6-row repeat. This basket weave is actually an 8-row repeat. Okay, so just have to keep that in mind. And a lot of this, quite frankly, is very visual. So you can just take a look to see, to know when it is time to cross the cables. So I'm going to go ahead and work on this, and then I will show you what I have, and I'll tell you exactly how many rows that I completed. All right, I have repeated this pattern. Takes us to row 167. And again, if you want this longer, feel free to have more repeats. If you want this shorter, just don't do as many repeats. As is with what I've worked here, this piece is now approximately 64 inches long. Let me go ahead and give you a width as well while I'm thinking of that. Okay, these are approximately 19 inches across. Now, as you hold this up, the length will also, if you're trying to get a good measurement on this, the weight of the yarn sometimes will actually stretch this a bit more. So just, when you lay this flat, that's basically how I am getting this measurement, is by laying it flat, not by extending it. Now for row 168, or whichever row that you decide when you're ready to go back to the ribbing, which will match the other end, we're going to work a transition row, and then following this row we will return to the ribbing. So we're going to chain 2. When you get to the wattle stitches, we're going to skip that double crochet. We're going to work half doubles, 2 half doubles in that first stitch, and then a half double into the single crochet, and again skip that double crochet of the wattle stitch, 2 half doubles in that chain 1 space, and 1 in the single crochet. All right, so now as we work across on the cables, we're just going to continue in pattern stitch with those by working 3 front post double crochets, a half double in that half double, and then 3 more front post double crochets. All right, and again, the next wattle stitch, we skip that double crochet. We're going to work 2 half doubles in that chain 1 space, and 1 in that single crochet, and again back to front post double crochets over the cable, and a half double crochet, and 3 more front post double crochets. I'm not going to work this whole row with you, but I do want to be sure to show you what we're going to do up ahead of these next 2 stitches. Okay, so skip that double crochet, 2 half doubles in that chain 1 space, and 1 in that next space, and then again 2 more half doubles in the chain 1 space. Just treat all the wattle stitches like that. Now with this basket weave stitch, it's time for us to change the direction of the weave if we're following the usual pattern. But since this is a transition row, we're going to maintain what we see. And you'll find that when we work the basket weave, the ribbing for the next row to follow this, it will still look like there are only 4 rows, because this row that we're working is going to be engulfed into the ribbing, if that makes sense, or at least visually it will be. So even though it's time to change the weave, we're not going to. So we're going to work 4 back post double crochets, followed by 4 front post double crochets. I just wanted to show you that as I'm working this across. Okay, so maintain the basket weave, even though it is the 5th row. That will disappear after the next row. So go ahead and continue that, And then when you get to the wattle stitches, we're just going to do, again, 2 half double crochets in the chain 1 space and a half double in the single crochet. And when you get to the turning chain, make sure you work a half double crochet into that turning chain. All right, so go ahead and finish row 168. Just wanted to show you the end of row 168. So we do have those 3 stitches in that wattle stitch, 2 in the chain 1 space, 1 in the single crochet, and also 1 in the turning chain. All right, so now for row 169, we're going to chain 2. We're going to skip that first stitch. We're going to work a back post double crochet followed by a front post double crochet, and we're going to do this all the way across the row. Front post and a back post, very much like what we did at the very beginning of this project. All right, so go ahead and work that all the way across the row. So I've worked the front post and back post all the way across. At the end of row 169, we're going to work a half double crochet in that turning chain. Now we're going to turn and we're going to repeat the last row that we worked. So we're going to repeat this row 5 times more until we have 7 completed rows of the ribbing, and that should match the other end of our stole. So go ahead and work that, and then at the end of that last row, what you're going to do is you're going to fasten off by giving it a chain and a tug, and then you're going to clip the yarn and leave a nice long strand, but make sure that you work those 5 additional rows first. And then after you do that, you will be finished, and all you'll need to do is go back and hide all of your loose strands. Well, I hope you enjoyed making my first cable crochet wrap with me today. If you did, I would love to hear from you. Please comment in the comment section below. And if you're new to my channel, please be sure to subscribe so that you can get more of the same if that's something that you're looking for. And definitely hit that notification bell, so that you will have it in your lineup. Well, thank you again, and God bless. Bye-bye.